Funny. So, I don't know how many times we talked about it, but we have to. American comic books are in dire need of a revolution. And I think it's an inevitable thing. They suck right now. They're trash. Okay, we get that. But it's not that they're just trash. Because you can get away with trash when you're like one of those first in, best dressed. A lot of people are familiar with your work and you have that just ability to be able to pump out dumb crap. But because people recognize you for what it is that the brand is, it may not be the writer or anything, just they understand what this brand's about. The Marvels, the Star Wars of the world, the DCs, they recognize that. So you can get away with a bunch of dog crap. Unfortunately, the Japanese have been making their own versions of comic books for a very long time. And that was okay until they began to eclipse the Western media in the West. It's one thing, obviously, you expect anime, you expect manga to be the best, or rather the most appreciated, the most bought, the most invested in, endorsed out there, not in the West. Well, that recently changed where you had, for example, last month when it came to the top selling graphic novels, literally all of them, all 20 of them were in the top 20. None of them came from DC or Marvel. They all came from manga. Every last one of them. They'll all be in different forms. They were there. So what you're seeing now is the weirdos, because of how much of a threat they are, the weirdos out in West are trying to set their sights on, well, they need to change because, well, why wouldn't they need to change? You got these guys who had got so committed to social justice and other stuff, it just ran these comic book companies into the ground in terms of the actual books. I'm not talking about the movies. I'm talking about the actual books. They're just trash. Okay. Well, now you're in this position to where they know that it's eclipsing them. And it's not just that. It's everything that they say is to blame for their shortcomings. Manga proves all of that crap wrong. Well, people don't buy your comics. People aren't buying the comics because of digital distribution or pirating or something like that. Well, why? How do you explain the growth of manga in the West? You can't. Well, people don't want to accept new properties. Some of the top selling mangas right now are stuff that came out within the last 5 years. Demon Slayer, for example. It just came out. The Jujutsu Kaisen. It just came out. Those aren't that old. So all of the excuses that they have basically get destroyed just by the mere existence of manga. So what's happening is that you're going to see a lot of pros, comic pros, set their sights on that because obviously they are a threat and they see that. They're finally recognizing manga as a threat. I'm going to have my thoughts about this here after this that I want to come back to, in which they're going to get eclipsed by also people in the West as they keep on with this. But here we go. This is obviously coming from Bounding in the Comics, mentioning Gerry Conway, who is an absolute dickhead, man. I don't know what the hell happened to that guy, but he's been part of co-creating some classic characters. Wasn't Gerry Conway responsible for Punisher as well, if I'm not mistaken? And the guy just completely, he's on some other stuff, man. It's bizarre. But obviously, you know the sex appeal, if you will, of Power Girl, and he created her. He co-created her. But he says that in this tweet, American comic book artists are taken deservedly to task regularly for outrageously sexist treatment of women. But rarely do I see any commentary on the rampant sexism and misogyny of manga. And manga is incredibly popular with young readers. Yeah, it is. And yes, it does have women that are, obviously a lot of sex appeal, if you will. Of course, that is something that he isn't fond of, and I get it. I understand that. But here's my thing. It isn't. I know the easy thing is say, dude, you created freaking Power Girl. I understand that, but we don't even have to go that route. What this shows is his commitment, or not his commitment, their commitment to appealing to blue-haired weirdos on Twitter, and anybody that appeals to not that is a threat to them. See, what happened is manga grew in the West, and it drew women the way they drew women. Obviously, people were still buying it. It didn't come into conflict, and a lot of that bull crap that they try to put out there that works on the American comic book artists. Hey, you men drawing women, that's bad. All of this sort of stuff doesn't work on necessarily the people out. Rather with the Japanese, they still continue to draw women the way that they draw women, draw dudes the way that they draw dudes, and they don't care, right? And people obviously are interested in, people buy it. See, my thing is, you don't have to draw. I don't think anybody's expecting you to draw women just, let's say, akin to some of the women that you see in anime. It's not necessarily about that. But you have basically, unfortunately, like you got guys, who was that? Clear Roll. Clear Roll draws. I imagine having artwork so bad to where I had to come to the defense of Carol Danvers. That's how bad it was. Well, I had to come to the defense of Carol Danvers because, and I'll see if I can pull it. I maybe cannot because I can't find it. But I talked about this Fearless book. And let me see if I can pull it up for you. This is an example of what people say, what people think. I found it. Of what these Western comic book pros think that people want to see. Okay, guys, this is a female artist. She is she's very bad. Of course, I mean I think we can all agree on that. I don't know. This isn't Marvel. It looks like Marvel, but this isn't Marvel. This is Carol Danvers. This is their solution. Where she looks like Jay, no Silent Bob, bro. That's their correction. Oh, y'all sexualize. You get the women to write them, women draw them, and they don't even look like women. So the dudes look like women, and the women look like dudes. That's their solution. That's an overcorrection if you feel like there was something wrong with it. But see, we've already discussed the kind of difference in the approach here because dudes don't react like that. Like we see cut up buff dudes in all of these comic books, and He-Man who's wearing almost nothing, and he's just fucking cut up to the fucking gills. And we don't look at that. Oh my God, it's sexualizing men. Look at these unrealistic expectations that they have. They're setting for the men standard. Motherfuckers got cuts in places you shouldn't even have cut all the way fucking up here, up, just cut, just rip, shirt off and everything. He-Man, fucking. Have you seen the front of the Golden? Y'all remember Golden Axe? Have y'all seen that actual cover? Golden Axe. I'm gonna show y'all real quick. Which is one of my favorite games, by the way. One of my favorite games, by the way. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Can I like make this bigger? I can. Look at this. Like these were on the front of our games. What is that not sexualizing, man? And we bought them shits, and we was like, God damn, he's cut. I want to maybe get ripped. But you don't see, we don't bitch about stuff like that. Like men don't do that. Men don't do this. Motherfucker is cut, bro. He is shredded. Look at this motherfucker shredded. Shredded to the gills, bro. Ain't got an ounce of body fat on him, man. And he's in like a fucking Speedo with boots on. And gauntlets. That ain't sexualizing men. We just don't fucking care. That's the difference, right? We don't care. Like we just don't care. Like that ain't stuff that we personally gripe about. So they're trying to write books, or draw books rather, for an audience that doesn't exist. And the folks in the West, the Japanese are like, fuck it, we just gonna keep doing what we want to do. So you're gonna see a bunch of comic pros try to make them change, because what's gonna happen is, or what already happened is, they got eclipsed by manga. But even more so is that you're gonna see independent artists who don't care if the woman is feminine, and it doesn't mean they're gonna just draw them like being overly sexualized, if you will, if you even feel like that's a thing. But yeah, women are expected to be in peak condition, and they're gonna look like women, right? It's just what it is. And you're gonna see people out in the West who are independent that do that, and they're just gonna sell a lot of books. So what it does is, the guys that are trying to set the standard and used to be able to control the game, they can't control it anymore. It's gonna be interesting. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59, and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.